Hi, I'm Rick Rheins, the Senior Rabbi at Temple Sinai in Denver. Shabbat Shalom. This happens to be the Thursday right before the Sabbath of Tazria-Metzora, double Torah portion, in which we have from the 12th chapters through the 15th chapters of the book of Leviticus, two Torah portions, both dealing with what is mistranslated as leprosy. It's not leprosy. It's some kind of skin outbreak called tzaraat. And commentators have known for a long time that it's not exactly a medical condition they're talking about, but it is a social, psychosomatic issue going on. They related the imbalance of a person's personality, their sense of sin, their gossip, their involvement in things that are inappropriate, with a physical outbreak that was evident. Regardless, they did notice in these chapters that once you had an outbreak, that people freaked out and they worried. So what would they do? They had a sense of quarantine, a sense of isolation, and the people who were so afflicted would be set outside the camp to reassure the people that the person with the contagion, with that contagious issue, that illness, that's really not exactly something that we can totally comprehend, but we knew that it was dangerous. At least we thought it was dangerous. So for the better part of valor, to have this person be outside. Now, the person who did the original inspection of the tzaraat, this person with the affliction, was one of the Kohanim, one of the high priests, one of the priestly family. And they would look and see if this indeed was something that fell under the category of a contagion, of some kind of contagious disease, or not. If they decided it was, there was a specific period of quarantine, 7 days outside the camp. And then who was it that inspected? Once again, it was a Kohen. And that person would check. And of course, they would rely on expert advice from the best of the medical people around. But it was the Kohen, the person who was the religious leader of the community, who would then be able to come back to the community and saying, I inspected this person, and according to the best of experts, I can verify that this person is making progress, and therefore just a few more days of quarantine, or that they are tahor, that they are pure, they are cured. And who was it that brought them back into the community? It was the Kohen, again, personally taking this person back into the community, saying, tahor, that he has now been cured. And it's important to point out that this Kohen, by the regulations of his position, could not have a wound, could not have a disease, could not have any kind of physical defect whatsoever. In fact, couldn't even have a psychological challenge. If that person was in mourning, they would not be eligible to carry out their priestly duties. If they had a physical illness, they may in fact be disqualified from their priestly duties. So this person had a great deal of personal risk. And what did he do? The Kohen would personally inspect and then bring back into the community those who had been so afflicted. I'm thinking, of course, now of in the modern days of the first responders, the nurses, the doctors, the people in the medical community who are putting their lives, their personal well-being at risk when they are inspecting and helping to cure, helping to heal those who are fighting a disease, whether it's COVID or any other disease, and they are personally at risk. It's the same sense of holiness. What's a sacred act? Not just a prayer. It's an act of goodness, an act of redemption. People who had been in exile, people who had been outside the community, and now are brought lovingly through a sacred act of generosity, of spirit, brought back into the community and say, welcome home. You're back home now. That lesson from Tazria-Metzora, those chapters of Leviticus, when you first read them, your eyes may glass over and you think, oh, I'm doing with leprosy. No, it's not so much leprosy. It's a challenge for us to reconsider how we interact with those who are going through a physical or emotional challenge, an illness. Do we always hold them at arm's length, or do we also make a concerted effort to welcome them back into the community and say, welcome home? I want to relate this, maybe a little bit of a stretch, so forgive me, because today, Thursday, is Yom HaAtzmaut, And this weekend, of course, many of the congregations will be celebrating some aspect of Israel. Certainly we will at Temple Sinai. Yesterday was Yom HaZikaron, the Israeli Memorial Day, in which there was times of silence. Starting last night and throughout today, there is Yom HaAtzmaut, a celebration of an independence in which Jews from all over the world found a home again. Those who have been exiled, not just to Europe, because many of us who are Ashkenazi say, okay, it's all about what happened to the Jews in Eastern Europe or Southern Europe, or America or Canada, whatever. But go to Israel. Most of the Jews in Israel are not Ashkenazi. They're Mizrahi. They are from the Middle East. They're from Northern Africa. They're from all over the world. Most of them, again, not Central European, but from all over, people with different colored skin, different hair, different languages, different cultures, all Jews, all welcomed home, who had been exiled by the terrible anti-Semitism that we've experienced for the last 2,000 years. But now one nation, imperfect, you bet. That they always agree, not a chance. There's a lot of political debate and disruption there. That's a healthy sign too. They are alive, and they certainly have their challenges ahead of them, but they have a home. They have been welcomed back home. There was a Psalm 126, that was written originally by our exiles in Babylon some 2,600 years ago, those who were exiled after the Babylonians destroyed the first temple. And here we were in Babylon along the river, and we were longing for that time in which we could go back up in Zion, go back up to Jerusalem. And they sang this song, which we just happen to sing then every Shabbat and every festival, Psalm 126, Shir Hamalot. Today, as we celebrate the independence of Israel, put your mind in the mind of all those who had been exiled, those who were put outside the home, either because of their own situations or because of exile, welcomed home again and going back up. I'm going to put up on the screen the words for Shir Hamalot. Sing them with me, if you will. And I hope that we will all celebrate together this special day of the independence, the 73rd birthday of Israel. Shir Hamalot, Beshuv Adonai, et Shivat Zion hayinu kecholim, az male schot binu ulshonenu rina, az yomru v'agoyim, Higdil Adonai lasot im ele, Higdil Adonai lasot imanu, hayinu semechim, Shuva Adonai et shivitenu, kafikim ba'negev, hazorim bedima, berina yetzoru, halach yelech uvacho, nose meshech hazara, bo yavo verina, nose alumotav. It's worthy to look at the English. It says, read with me. A psalm sung when the pilgrim went up to Jerusalem. When Adonai restored our exiles to Zion, it was like a dream. Then we laughed and sang joyous songs. Once it was said among the nations, Adonai has done great things for them. Indeed, Adonai does great things for us, and we have rejoiced. Restore us, Adonai, like the streams in the Negev desert. Those who sow in tears shall reap in joyous song. One who goes along weeping, carrying the seed bag, will come back with songs of joy, carrying the sheaves of grain. That psalm, which celebrates the reconnection of our people exiled to come back home, is a cue for us also to make sure that those who've been battling illness during this time of COVID pandemic, that they too will be welcomed back into our lives, into our world, a time in which we can recognize there were days of sowing tears, but now let us lift our voices in celebration. I wish everyone a Shabbat Shalom, and everyone a very happy Chag HaAtzmaut, a very happy Day of Independence, Israel's 73rd birthday. Shalom.